Hector Bravo, unhinged. Chaos is now in session.
Welcome back to our channel, Warriors. We are still growing. Today, another banger for you guys, man. I have a former Mendocino cop turned actor. I have none other than Trent. What up, Trent? How's it going, dude?
It's good, man. Glad to finally meet you in person.
Definitely, bro. You're tall as fuck, man. 6'3".
Yeah, no big deal.
Makes me look short, man. 5'11", Mexican, you know?
It's all good, bro. With the hair, it's like solid 6 foot, though, you know?
True.
Yeah.
So, I know you're in L.A. now, but prior to that, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Ukiah, which is in Mendocino County in Northern California. It's like 3 hours north of San Francisco, out in the fucking woods in the middle of nowhere. It's part of the Emerald Triangle. It was like us, Trinity County, and Humboldt County. It's where all the weeds at.
How close is Humboldt County to there?
It's just the next county up.
Okay, because I'm familiar with Humboldt County with the Netflix series and the weed.
Yeah. So Alder Point, where they did, what the hell was that show called? Yeah, I forgot, but there was that show, yeah, from people murdering shit. Yeah, so when I watched that shit, I was still on the street, and I was working in a very similar area, but it was way more hardcore, and I was just laughing, and I was at my shitty resident deputy house, watching it on Netflix, and I'm like, bro, they fucking should have came down here and did that, bro. That was like a standard Tuesday, you know, where I was at, so.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was fucking chaotic.
Why do you think it is at Humboldt? Why do you think that area got the limelight as opposed to the other one? Just
I don't know, and I'm not taking anything away from that story
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
It was fucking crazy shit, but I'm just saying, like, all three of those county, including ours, it was just nothing but homicides and kidnappings, all weed and money related. Not these days, but back then, yeah.
Great, man. This is going to be an interesting conversation. I mean, people love true crime. They're
Yeah.
fucking infatuated by it, bro.
Yeah, I know.
So growing up, I'm assuming you weren't privy, and I'm talking about like adolescent age, were you privy to crime of what was transpiring in the area?
Oh, dude, growing up, I was a hellion, man. I was always in trouble. I was flipping off cops, telling them to fuck off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hated cops, bro.
Is it a small town or a larger town, city?
Yeah, it's really small. Where I grew up in Ukiah is probably, I don't know, 15,000, something like that.
It's pretty small,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, very rural.
If you're flipping off cops, don't you know who the cops are?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a really small, you know, local PD, local police department. They hated me. I didn't like them. You know, I'm talking like, you know, 16, 17 when I was starting to drive and all that. So, yeah, but they were looking back though, bro. Like once I became a cop, I still maintained that mindset. Those guys were just straight fucking assholes. Not that I was cool, but
I get you.
Yeah.
No, we'll elaborate into that, but I get where you're. Did you have a problem with authority?
yeah, that's probably a big part of that.
Definitely. Were you rebellious?
Yeah.
In general, or just because like I'm rebellious as well, but I don't like dumb authority. Are you willing to listen to certain things that make sense?
Yeah, logic and common sense resonates very well with me for sure. I'm able to take criticism, but especially during my time in law enforcement, you can definitely attest to this. Pretty much everybody we worked for knows less than we did.
Facts.
So,
oh, this is gonna be a juicy fucking interview, bro. Because we're talking the same language, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people understand.
yeah.
It's just, you know, very few people have come out and spoken on this.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck, so I'll say whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I myself also like common sense, you know, and logic. So, how the hell did you go from flipping off cops to wanting to even become a cop?
Long story short, so when I was 17, I got into some major shenanigans, and my parents at the time made me move to Utah, where I had relatives there thinking that it was going to pull me out of that environment. It would save me from jail or whatever. I later came back. Long story short, I got really into fitness and working out, and that's when I stopped partying a lot because I was seeing progress doing that shit, and I was feeling good. And then I moved away and to Sonoma County, which is an hour south, started going to college and graduated from college. And then I went to an administrative justice class when I was at college, and just the subject material was so fascinating, interesting to me, and I hated everything else. And I was like, holy fuck, this is kind of interesting. Then I went on a ride along when I was like 20.
Nice.
Did like a code 3 run and shit with the lights and sirens, and I was like, is this what you fucking dudes do all day? And of course that's not true at all, but he's like, oh yeah, dude, it's sick as fuck, you should apply. And then I just kind of fell in love with that.
So your parents moved you away to get you out of trouble or to save you.
Yeah.
Did that work? Was it an effective move?
No, because I ended up moving back when I was like 18, got into even more shit. And then I've been arrested twice. Once when I was 17, once when I was 18. Nothing big. When I was 18, I like walked into a store and stole a 30-pack of beer, walked out. The cop that got me was the one that hated me growing up. He showed up. I was like, suck my dick. Took me in. But then, like I said, once I started getting into fitness and shit like that, I realized that I was drinking a lot and partying and smoking a lot of weed. And I was like, well, this is affecting the gains, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So that really helped me mature a little bit more. And then, like I said, I started going to school, and then I kind of got out of those bad habits.
Now, did you have a criminal record that would eventually come up during your hiring process?
Yeah, for sure. I had I had a street bike too when I was 16, 17, had my license suspended, driving like a dick. But it's all about time, right? So they look at the background investigators, what you've done since you stopped that behavior. So I went to college, I got a bachelor's degree. My driving history was clean by the time I graduated the academy. Like, what have you done to show us that you're maturing and becoming more responsible, right? So I didn't have any major hiccups that like prevented me once I finally did get hired for, obviously, to getting the job. No felonies or crazy shit.
Is it, did you know anybody in the department for like word of mouth purposes or references?
No, I didn't. But when I graduated the academy, I got hired right away as a probation officer in Mendocino County. So I just took that as an in. Then I got to kind of know some people, and then they just picked me up.
Was that a peace officer position? The probation?
Yeah.
It was? Mm-hmm. So what do you get? You get a gun and a badge?
Yeah, so basically I had a caseload of just random nonsense, drug offenders, domestic violence guys, and go out and search their dwellings, have them come in, P-test them. And it was such a small town, it was so awkward, bro, because two of these dudes on my caseload when I was brand new were like two of my best friends growing up.
Yeah.
One of them was a fucking straight tweaker, and the other one was on probation for beating up his girlfriend. And I'm like, this is really fucking awkward. But
sounds about white. Sounds about right.
Straight up. Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended, bro.
So what kind of drugs were prevalent up there? Was it the methamphetamines? What else was in that area?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, it was just weed. Everyone was smoking weed. But these days, a lot of meth.
Hey, back then was probably like the old school weed, huh?
Yeah.
As opposed to what's now?
Yeah, it was shit. But, now it's straight just meth, fentanyl, all the good shit, yeah. Standard issue.
So how was it doing the probation gig? Was it fulfilling for you, or were you like, nah, I'm missing something else? Or was that always part of your plan to go to become a cop?
No, dude, it was just, they offered me a job, and I just took it while I was still in the process with a couple places.
Okay.
But no, it wasn't fulfilling at all. I wanted the fun, dude. I wanted the chases. I wanted the crazy shit and to be an actual cop. But the main reason is I did, as cliche and kind of cringe as it sounded, I did want to help people.
Right.
And I had reflected back on cops that I interacted with growing up, and I wanted to make sure that I was not going to be like those guys.
Nice.
That couldn't develop rapport to save their lives with anybody in the community, couldn't talk to people like they were humans. And so I kind of wanted to go a different route with that.
Have you always been a risk taker?
Yeah.
Every time? Or since the beginning? Since you've known?
Yeah.
How do you feel about taking risks? Because a lot of people are risk adverse and don't even want to try for the various reasons. Fear of failure.
Man, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always had that mindset where what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to tell me no. I'm not going to get that job, or I'm not going to get this. When I moved out to LA to pursue acting, and I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I've already been through the worst.
Facts.
That's how I looked at it. I'm like, this is fucking Disneyland, bro. All of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree, man. I agree. So how long were you a probation officer before you became, or what was the next step after that?
Yeah, so the timeline, I graduated college in like 2012, and then shortly after that, I put myself through the academy, got hired as a PO, and then it wasn't very long, dude. It was like less than a year where I got picked up as a deputy with the sheriff's office. And the vast majority of that time, I spent as a resident deputy, so I policed an entire town alone in the national forest, and the nearest backup was like an hour away. when I first lived out there, there was like 1X on the cell phones. We didn't have internet.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it was predominantly Native American reservation. Then you had the cartel dudes from Mexico up there paying the natives to grow on tribal land. And that was just battle after homicide after whatever. I had a canine too, so I was a canine handler. And then I did that for a long time, got majorly burnt out up here. And then I was
What was the burnout coming from?
Just cumulative fucking trauma, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, you know, because that post, well, first of all, it's the most dangerous place in the entire county. Like, we had a cop get smoked up there. We had a couple dudes that lived out there before me, both shot themselves, died. And it, you know, just for the safety element, right? So working an assignment like that for that long, it's just very stressful and taxing.
Dude, like, I was just about to ask you, like, how sketchy is that? You're up there with Native Americans, you're by yourself, fucking zero phone coverage, zero comms, probably with a dispatcher of any sort. Your nearest help is probably, how far away is it?
If someone's hauling ass, 45 minutes. Well, so I was getting in pursuits weekly out there, bro.
By yourself?
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, like and I'm not trying to sound cool, bro. There's a lot of
say it, bro.
Yeah, this is just facts. Everyone's like, "Oh, the guy's trying to sound like he's a badass." No. I'll just stating the facts. All right. There's a lot of better cops than I was for sure. Okay. Yeah. So I'd get in a pursuit, you know, and dispatch would be like, "Oh, you know, we're sending another unit your way," but you know, those things lasted like 5-10 minutes max, and go to calls that realistically I needed 4 other dudes with me.
Right.
You go to alone. You go to a domestic violence call, one of the, like, the male half's like beating down the door with a fucking axe, chicks inside, and you got to go to that and deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Alone. And, you know, I would just cancel them, be like, we're going to send you another unit. And I'm like, there's no point, because if anything bad's going to happen, it's going to be within the first 20 fucking seconds I get there. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't strike me as a dummy, man. You're very smart and privy. How much do you have to use your mind in situations?
It's your best weapon, bro.
So what were some things you would look for? Like you just said, man, you're like, hey, if something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen within the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
What kind of shit would you see where like, oh, fuck, where your spidey senses would go off, or what kind of approach is?
Oh, fuck. Everything, bro. Like, it was... I think that part of the burnout, too, is my adrenaline was jacked 24/7, and it never came down. So everyone had guns out there. It was all the Indian Pride dudes, the Norteño shot callers with the XIV across the fucking throat. And those guys were my best snitches, too.
Were they?
Oh, yeah. But, dude, that took years, bro, to get in with those prison guys like that.
Yeah.
But they're all manufacturing their own shitty res AKs and ARs and all that bullshit. Nobody has a driver's license. And so you had to police it way differently. First of all, I can't be out there pulling over people and writing them little dorky ass fucking, "Sir, you don't have a front license plate." And it's some dude with like face tattoos that just got out of prison after 20 fucking years.
Right.
Because they know where I live, because I live in town. And it was in a little shitty shack, basically, with no insulation, and froze my ass off. And they would, if we had prior cops out there, they would get like drive-bys on their crib, dude. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. One guy in particular. So, and like I said, one got smoked out there. So you have to you do this anyway, everybody with fucking respect, you know that, like in the prison system. So I had to handle shit differently. So I pull them over for a little bullshit, even if they're on parole.
Right.
They're driving on a suspended license. I don't fucking care.
Right.
I'm not doing shit with that. I'm going to say, I'll see you later. You know what I'm saying? Or that you owe me one.
Strategy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And spirit of the law.
But doing that, like again, dude, the best weapons are your mind and your mouthpiece, dude. Right. Like effective communication and respect got me out of so many situations where I would definitely not be sitting here today. Because you go up to a house, dude, like one of my first calls, bro, I went onto the res alone right off of training. And there was like 2 houses right on the res, and the call was there was like a 415, so a verbal disturbance between 2 families there. And I show up, and there's like 10 family members at one, another same shit, like big monster motherfuckers, you know, some of these dudes. And I show up like, "Hey, how's it going, everyone?" You know, like brand new rookie cop. And they're all like, "Fuck you, white boy. What the fuck are you doing on the res? This is tribal." You see, you got to deal with that.
Oh, you got to deal with that? That's one of the things?
Yeah, because it's people get it twisted too. So California is a public law 280 state, meaning that the sheriff's office has ultimate jurisdiction over reservation land. It's not like Wyoming, the Dakotas, Montana. So we had the ultimate jurisdiction, meaning that like the tribal police there were basically just security guards. They didn't have powers of arrest. So we dealt with literally every crime.
This is good information.
On the res, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because a lot of other places like Wyoming, they have their own tribal cops that have like kind of peace officer power, so to speak. And the only time an outside law enforcement entity will come in is for major crimes like homicide, kidnapping, shit like that.
Yeah.
And that's generally going to be the FBI.
Bro, your life, this experience reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, bro.
It was literally Grand Theft Auto,
You
bro.
got fucking crazy Native Americans on that firewater. You got Norteño fucking NF members. You got fucking white meth addicts.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, was it like that?
Yeah, hey, don't get me wrong. There was like a lot of good people out there,
Yeah,
including, dude, I was cool as fuck with the guys I was arresting.
Bro, but as a cop, I would imagine you're not dealing with the best of humanity. In general, I'm assuming you deal with, you get those calls where you have to show up and enforce the law.
Yeah, no, 100%, bro. So how I worked it out there is I wasn't just letting shit go left and right. It was, and especially when bag of shit Gavin Newsom started decriminalizing everything, bro. And so I really had to, you have to alter your tactics, right?
Right.
But I was just going after, but even before that, what was a major quality of life issue? Or like major crimes and shit like that.
Right.
Definitely handling business. And people knew that I would.
Right.
And because I gave respect and they knew that I was going to do my job when it came down to it, I generally got that in return. And I was pretty cool with fucking everybody.
Now, at this point in time, are you still maintaining your physical fitness level?
Oh, fuck yeah.
You were fucking killing it?
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, there was no excuse. I hated that shit, dude. I worked with a couple fat motherfuckers, man, who drive me nuts because they were just like an officer safety issue, bro. And yeah, there was no, so I was working, 12 to 16-hour days and shit. And sometimes it's on duty. Sometimes I'm waking up at 3 a.m. and I'm fucking, even if it's a 30-minute workout, but I always eat really healthy too. These guys are like, one of my partners, like his lunch would be like a fucking gas station fucking, thing of donuts and a Red Bull. And I'm like, dude, you're literally going to have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
While we're going to the most basic call and we're going to run into an issue.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you have to, but working out also helped me stay in the game longer, like mentally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, it sounds taxing, man. I mean, I was never there, but just hearing these stories, like I said, I'm hearing this for the first time, dude. I didn't realize it was like that up there.
Yeah, bro, and so what's hard though is that like there's no days off, dude. Like if I want to take a day off, the nearest town was an hour away. That's 4,000 population. The next actual bigger town is an hour and a half away. And then if I want to go to somewhere where there's like shit to do, that's like 2 hours out. So, right. So I'm really there and I'm on call. So, you get called out at like 2 a.m. Hey, Trent, so-and-so just got shot in the head on the res. Go deal with it. Suspect's outstanding. So I got to go figure that out.
Now, during that period of time, was your leadership decent, good, or was it a problem?
Bro, leadership's a problem at 99.9% of agencies in America. It was horrible.
Even your leadership was bad during those times?
Leadership.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
See, as you're telling me the story, I'm thinking, well, fuck, maybe they gave him some slack. Maybe they gave him some leash.
That is the only reason I probably stayed with that agency as long as I did. So I chose to quit that place, by the way. I gave a month and a half notice. But because I was so effective out there, I mean, I got Deputy of the Year in 2018. The community...
You were the only deputy, bro.
For the whole department, bro. But I mean, like, in the whole county, I got Deputy of the Year for that year. Yeah, but like, I would go to all the town meetings and do all this shit. I was going to the high schools, the middle schools, talking to the kids, the principals, going to the businesses.
Damn.
Well, yeah, a place like that, it's only 1,500 people. You got to community police the shit out of a place like that to get to know everybody. And everyone out there has fucking nicknames, especially the prison guys, right? So you got to learn those.
Yeah.
But no, the leadership sucked, dude. But they left me alone because before I moved out there, that was a major problem area, and I had a direct impact on the crime stats. And the community wasn't complaining as much to the sheriff, so they just like, Trent's out there, he'll figure it out. He knows what he's doing.
That's cool, man.
But
that to me, that sounds like a good case scenario.
It helped
for
a while. Yeah.
Ultimately, well, I know you mentioned dwellings. Could you describe what a dwelling looks like out in the middle of fucking nowhere, man? It was like a mud hut. Are there drug paraphernalia? Is there a mess, like hoarders?
Yeah, so they had like housing on the res, bro, where like the housing authority would rent those places out. But yeah, a lot of places people were living no electricity, no running water. There's fucking holes in the floor. There's human shit all over the place. You got to watch where you're walking. Just piles of trash in the front yard, broken down cars everywhere.
Dogs?
Lots of res dogs, bro. Like just running around aimlessly. You got to make sure you don't get bit by those motherfuckers. I always had like 9 cans of OC. I had like one time like a crazy goose, dude. Those things are nasty, dude. Me and my partner tried to go to this house to fucking see if this dude was there. He had a warrant.
They hiss at you, bro.
He's like, shh. And dude, it wouldn't get out of the way. So I was like, shh, and then it fucked off. But yeah, all kinds of crazy shit.
Fuck, bro. So like, dude, this is a good opportunity. So like, are you in essence like a detective as well? Like there's a homicide and you got to solve that fucking case?
Yeah, so because we were so rural and we only had like 65 sworn officers, you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
A lot of bigger agencies like LAPD or, New York, whatever, you have your own separate units for a lot of things.
Right.
Property crimes, domestic violence units, which sounds really cool and fancy, even corners units. So us on the street, yeah, you're a detective. We were the own coroner, so when somebody died, dipshit Trent James, as a regular street guy, you do the entire death investigation from the very start to the end, next to kin notification.
Wow.
And you do that for years. It sucks.
Wow.
Homicides and shit, you show up front, you take the initial, but the detective unit will come in and take those over. But everything else, yeah, dude, like a lot of the sex crime stuff, and because they're short too. The detective unit's really small. They're inundated with a whole bunch of nonsense as well. So kind of everyone just has to share the casework.
Did you ever have to go to like a suicide call or anything?
Oh, yeah, I lost count on that, yeah.
Really?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, every way. Overdoses, hangings, a million different ways somebody shot themselves, one of which I went to. The guy was still fucking alive, doing the snoring thing, God damn. Well, yeah, you shoot yourself in the head, man. A lot of times it doesn't go the way you planned.
Correct.
So you show up like, and then, he died too. But, oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of those for sure, jumping off of whatever things. And
what about, because I watch the first 48 hours from time to time, or shows where there'll be a dead body for days, weeks, months. You ever go to that shit?
Dude, yeah, those sucked, bro, especially when it's like the middle of summer, over 100 degrees
bro,
out.
I know this is fucked up, but go ahead and walk us through an experience like that, man. Like, I'm talking about, like, what, before you enter a house, you start smelling shit outside.
Yeah, like a telltale sign when you show up. So generally, it'll be like a welfare check, right? Like a family member from Arizona be like, hey, I haven't heard from my uncle in months, and he lives alone. Can you go check on him? He lives in your county. Sure. You go there. It's 100 degrees outside. You see, like, the windows are closed, doors closed, and there's fucking flies on the outside of the window. That's usually a sign someone's super dead inside, right? So you go in and someone's been cooking, a couple weeks in there, dude. It is horrendous, the smell in there. And they get all bloated and fat and black. A lot of times you have, like, maggots and insects eating, in their eyes and their mouths and their nose. Sometimes their pets have been eating their limbs because they're stuck inside and there's nothing to eat. Mm-hmm. And then, then the mortuary guys show up and you have to help put them in the red bag and then ship them off. It's dope.
Do you think that would affect anybody working that line of work?
It affected me.
Right.
It
would affect me as well, too.
I wasn't a pussy, and I can admit it.
Correct. No, that's fucking brave of you, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is why we're having this conversation.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. That shit drives me nuts, bro. The macho boomer dudes that I used to work for, to be like, oh, just suck it up. Because one of my friends, dude, he was like one of my close friends at the time, deputy as well, when I was working my shitty resident deputy post, bro. I got a work email, and it said that he was suspended from duty. And I was like, what the fuck? And it turns out he had, he came home from dinner with his girlfriend, went in the bathroom, and just slammed a fucking thing of heroin into his arm. And he almost died. They showed up, Narcaned him back to life. But he was just fucked. Like, he went to a bunch of fucked up shit and lost his marbles, and he was trying to kill himself. But all the older dudes that I worked for at the time, like, I'd hear them be like, oh, he's a pussy. What's he crying about? What the fuck? That wouldn't have affected me. And I'm like, here's my whole thing. We all are brought up differently.
Right.
genetics, different environments, different socioeconomic statuses, and just different walks of life, religion, all those kinds of things. And our brain chemistry, because we're not fucking robots, is all different since we're humans. Therefore, it is literally, just because something affects somebody, it's stupid to say that it wouldn't affect that other person.
Facts.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Facts.
So it's like, yeah, bro, you sound really cool and macho saying that, but those guys that would say that, they were the biggest alcoholics.
Right.
They were usually beating their wives. Divorced 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Paying $1,200-$1,300 a month in child support.
Facts.
It was just a giant hypocritical joke.
No, you're right. So you're talking about like, yeah, I see it, man. The OGs playing the tough guy.
Yeah.
Talking shit about the new cop that couldn't handle the trauma. However, their life is shit, bro.
They're self-medicating in their own way, bro. A lot of them were doing pills too, behind closed doors, drinking, getting blacked out drunk 6-7 days a week. Some dudes I worked with were come to work drunk as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Sometimes I'd have to double up with them that day to drive them to calls.
Hey, guys, consider becoming a patron where you will get first exclusive dibs on the video before it airs to the public, and you'll get to ask the guests special questions that you have in mind. So that's also another way to support the channel. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you. Keep pushing forward. Make sure you hit that link in the description below. Because I know that in law enforcement, there's a high suicide rate, just as well as the military.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the law enforcement side that that is a result of all those accumulated trauma?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, it's it's tough, bro, because not all, but a lot of cops I know and I worked with, like their personal lives are a train wreck dumpster fire, bro. So we're going to these calls, not that mine was perfect, but you're going to these calls and trying to educate adults on how to be adults, but then you go home and your shit's fucked up. It's even worse. And so it's like, how can you really lecture people on anything? But yeah, so you go to the shift work where, dude, we were so short-staffed always. Most agencies are 6-7 days a week for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys I worked with, 12-plus hour days, no days off, no time for anything. You have shitty supervisors on top of that don't know shit, that are on your ass, threatening to write you up for everything. Going to these calls the calls you go to, it's like most of these people that are calling 911, it's literally the worst day that they're ever going to have in their entire life. And your dumbass is there to deal with it. So you have to see and hear and smell the worst things that, like, most people only dream about in their nightmares. You know what I'm saying? So you do that for years and years and years. Your home life falls apart because you come home from a 13-hour day. You had to deal with, like, a dead kid. And your girlfriend's like, oh, hey, how was your day? And you're like, you go in the room and close the door.
Right.
Then she leaves you eventually. But I'm just saying in general, like, that's how usually a lot of the shit happens. So and then you start drinking a lot. And, that leads to just bad shit. And yeah, sometimes dudes just smoke themselves.
Just
dude.
Alone with your pistol in the fucking house.
I worked a couple operations with an FBI guy in the town that I work, because we were always having other outside agencies come in, the DEA, task force guys and stuff, just running major ops out there that I would get attached to as well, like a lot of the weed shit. And he was on there a couple times, and yeah, he just nasty divorce and too much stuff, and he just smoked himself in his county whip, dude, or his federal car.
The FBI agent?
Yeah. And I think about that stuff differently, bro. Like, I understand it. When you go to so many suicides and you talk to so many families and friends and you see it like that, and then you see the law enforcement side or the military dudes, obviously that's really prevalent as well. I fully understand, and I do not judge that at all.
Correct. I'm in the same boat, and I once heard a psychologist speak to us and tell us that, like, we're all like a bucket, and if it gets too full, eventually that bucket's going to overflow.
Yeah.
And that's when, people make those drastic decisions.
Yeah, it happened to me too, bro. I didn't, I'm still here, so.
You mentioned all this overtime hours, all these extra shifts. Did you also have to show up in court?
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah. And, dude, court for me was an hour and a half away from my crib.
No way, dude.
Yeah, bro. It was nuts. Yeah.
So you arrest somebody. Holy shit, bro. What did your jail look like? Small? Tiny?
Yeah.
Was there a jail cell in that motherfucker?
Yeah, they got cells in that bitch. Yeah. Yeah, it was small and shitty.
Is the jail the same place you book somebody into?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. So we would, take them. Yeah, we didn't take them to the station. Yeah, we would. I didn't even have a station.
I guess that's what I was asking. You guys didn't have a station?
No, I mean, we had stations, but we didn't take anybody there for any reason. It was just straight to county jail.
Straight to county jail.
Straight to fucking jail, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do, man? You just drop them off to the deputies in there, or do you have to start doing anything?
No, man, you just fill out the booking sheet. Okay. Hopefully you search their ass before you fucking get there, and there's like not knives and shit and drugs, you know.
Do you watch these videos on YouTube of weird shit happening with these cops? Meaning like they didn't do a correct pat down?
Yeah, I worked with some guys that had that happen, bro.
Really?
Yeah, one guy that he worked at a neighboring agency, but same county. He missed a whole ass bottle of alcohol in this fool's pant leg, bro, and booked him in. So he's a street cop, arrested some guy. The COs, the correctional officers, once they took custody of him in the jail, were searching him, and he had a big ass bottle right here that the cop just missed. And obviously, you just get a bunch of shit for that. He got in trouble, but
you know, it's a fine line because somebody could get killed if it's a gun, a knife.
Yeah.
It seems like in 2025, maybe 2024, a lot of these cops are inexperienced. Do you watch that on the YouTube or anything like that? Or you don't really watch those types of videos?
Dude, I a little bit. I don't really watch cop stuff, to be honest with you.
Kind of had you lived it already?
Yeah. Like my girlfriend, she likes to watch like the body cam videos and shit.
You don't like watching them?
No.
Did you guys have body cameras in your area?
No.
That's a good thing, right? Or did you, or would you not have minded them?
I didn't, dude, in all the years I was a cop, I didn't generate one complaint from a member of the public, right? Just because how I treated everybody.
Right.
But we just didn't have them, man. They just recently got them, like within the last couple years, I think, up there. I don't know if it was a money issue. I know the sheriff was very adamant, the new one that works there now in Mendocino County, who's a piece of shit. And he came out publicly and stated, I don't want my deputies to have body cams. I'm like, why? Why is that? When I lateraled to a PD, when I was a patrol sergeant, we had them at that department. But for us, I wouldn't have minded them. I mean, there was a lot of shit, like a lot of conversations that it doesn't matter to me. But like when I'm talking to my informants and doing shit like that, like I don't want to film that, bro. I'm trying to protect their privacy, dude. Because like if I were to dime them out, that could get them killed.
Yeah, it's an ethical thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's some cops or there's some agencies that don't give a fuck about the informants and they don't give a fuck careless if they get them killed.
Bro, like that is like one of the most crucial assets I had because out there wasn't a lot of there was no security cameras. If somebody gets stabbed on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, like where I live now, there's going to be 400 people that see it. There's fucking cameras everywhere, right? But out there's no light pollution. So you can see a full sky of stars and there's not, it's so rural and just woods, right? So there's nobody around and there was a lot of shit that nobody was around to see. So I had to rely on those dudes. Like, hey, did you hear about this? Yeah. Okay. What happened? Oh, it was this guy. And then, so I had to solve all those crimes like that.
Oh, damn, dude. So you were like doing old school policing.
Straight up. Yeah. It was like, for example, like on a night shift, two of my partners were out in the town I worked was called Covelo, also known as Round Valley. So someone broke into a local Napa Auto thing, stole a generator. It's like a couple $1,000s. Cameras didn't work. No one saw shit. They show up and take the report. I come on shift and they're like, dude, we don't even know how to begin to do this. And an hour and a half later, I arrested the guy that did it and I got the generator back.
Hell yeah,
with
dude.
no information. But that's just because you have to
know the game.
Exactly.
You're like the fucking training day, bro.
Yeah. Well, again, lots of guys can do that, and lots of guys did do that before my time. I'm just saying that's what that takes to be successful.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it 100%. Now, since we're talking about your style, was there people that didn't have your style, like maybe squares or, hey, yeah, I will write you that ticket, or didn't know how to communicate effectively with people?
Yeah, not really that I worked with, bro. I found that each agency has its own personality. Like, police department guys are different than deputies and different than highway guys.
Are they?
In my opinion, yeah. It's just a different breed, bro. Like, CHP guys, a lot of those dudes, I got pulled over a couple times while I was still in law enforcement, and those guys cannot Not all of them, because I got a couple close friends that are CHP, but they cannot talk to people properly to save their fucking life, bro. Like when I was a cop, I always had nice cars, dude. And I was mobbing down the road one day in my Range Rover, and I had a white tank top on. I know what I look like. I look like I'm selling coke.
Yeah.
All right. But I was still a deputy at the time. So I get pulled over by a highway guy in the middle of the day. I had crossed over a line a second. So when he comes up to my vehicle, I had already rolled everything down because my shit's tinted. He approaches and he's like, so what was all that about back there? I'm like, I don't even get a hello or anything. What the fuck? Just started the interaction like that. Younger dude, clearly a fucking rookie. And I was like, you have no fucking clue who you're talking to, bro. But I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, you crossed the yellow line. And I'm like, oh, sorry about that. I was texting. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, what's up all this tint on your car? You see what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck? Just straight up. And I can say that because I was still a cop. I'm not saying like, I didn't even say anything yet at this point, right? He's like, did you pay to have that put on, or was it like that when you bought it, thinking I'm going to lie? I'm like, no, I paid to have this shit put on. I know it's illegal. And he was so confused because somebody's telling him the truth.
Absolutely.
And I was like, hey, bro, I don't know where the fuck this is going, but I have my off-duty gun right here in the fucking door, bro. I'm a cop, so I don't know what you want to do. He's like, oh, whole demeanor changed.
Absolutely.
Like this. His partner that had just pulled up behind him because he thought I was some Aryan Brotherhood dude. He code forward him, and he took off, and then it was like a normal interaction, and then he let me go. But if I had not been a cop, he would have definitely written me up for everything. And that's my point, man. I'm like, why do you got to be a dick right out the gate?
Yeah.
Because of my appearance? Another dude pulled me over, CHP, same car that I was driving at the time. And he ran me, and he found out I was a cop later. He was a lot nicer, but when he looked at me at the conclusion of the stop, he was like, oh, you're really looking the part today. That's why I pulled you over. I'm like, I know why you pulled me over.
What the fuck? You're really looking the part today?
Yeah, because he profiled me. Because my plates came back to that town I lived in, which is known for, you know, rapscallions and like prison dudes and shit. And I'm all tatted out in a nice ass car. He thought I was fucking moving weight, probably, right?
Damn.
So, but yeah, and they tell you that, you know, when the interaction's done.
So in that area, are there people driving nice cars, pushing mad weight?
Oh, fuck yeah, brother.
There is?
$150,000 trucks, the big ass ones jacked up with those fat fucking wheels on them. It's all weed money.
Now, are they like...
A lot of the Mexican dudes.
But is it one of those things where they just leave them alone until they do commit an infraction?
Well, so those dudes don't mob around with like pounds and pounds in their whip. They're the ones that are overseeing a lot of the operations.
But it's a well-known fact that those guys are connected.
Yes. Yeah. It depends.
What do
bro.
their homes look like? Mansions? Ranches?
No, a lot of times they were just living in regular houses, dude. So they spent all their dough on like cars and motorcycles and random shit. I don't know. Some of them were pretty big ballin', but the dudes that were, they get other people to do that for them.
Now, this time frame that you worked in that area around the weed, what was the federal laws with marijuana? Had it already been?
It was still illegal.
Illegal?
Yeah, illegal. It still is. It's just that, so when I had first started, weed was a felony in the state of California.
Okay.
Like to cultivate, to have over a certain weight in your vehicle and all this sort of thing. And then, you know, at the tail end of my time, it became basically legal or a very shitty little misdemeanor, right? And the only time it would turn into a felony is if you had prior convictions for sales, you were a sex registrant or something like that. Like if you were caught with sales for weed. But dude, I was pulling over U-Hauls with like undocumented Mexicans that were just driving out of town with like just pounds and pounds and pounds. And a lot of times you're just letting them go.
What?
Yeah, toward the tail end. Because it's like, that's still technically a misdemeanor.
Right.
They could have 1,000 pounds in that thing. Unless they have something else going on. And like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go book that shit in? I can't even fit it in my car. Tow the U-Haul and all that? Like.
Now, was that one of the encouraging factors for you to want to leave the department, seeing the crimes change?
Yeah, it got toward the end. I mean, mostly it was mental, but that was a large component of it because I realized I wasn't able to really do my job anymore.
Right.
We were going to calls and people are getting mad at me because I'm the face they see, and I totally understand that. Like, hey, why did this guy break into my house? You couldn't even arrest him, or you did arrest him, and he got out the same day, back when there was no bail, thanks to Newsom. Fucking asshole, dude. Fuck that guy. Anyway, But I saw that real time on the street, bro. All those laws that were ceasing to exist, all the guys that were coming out of prison for the non-violent offenses.
It was AB 109, Prop 57. It was 447.
Yeah, and I'm like, what people don't understand is the vast majority of the crimes on the street that affects your day-to-day are quality of life issues. They are not violent crimes. The homicides and all that crazy shit, those are usually person-specific. It's a very personal situation. People breaking into houses, stealing cars, getting super high and squirrely on meth and doing a bunch of random shenanigans that affects like the regular citizen. Those aren't going to be the violent offenses. So just letting all those people out, we all saw it on the street just go through.
What
the
did you
fucking
see?
roof.
What was the differences?
All crime increased. And I was arresting guys that would be like, bro, Trent, like, I'm going to be out. This one guy, he's like, I'm going to be out by the time before you even finish your fucking report, homie. I'm like, facts. I agree. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing anymore, bro.
I don't even know what I'm doing
And that
anymore.
dude was a bad motherfucker, dude. Right when he got out, he went back out and did a drive-by. Same day. AK-47, dude, just up some dude's house. Got him again. Went back in. Dude, this one girl on the res, bro, this was my case. She's in prison now because for another double homicide out there, but she stabbed this girl on the res 7 times in the back with a fucking kitchen knife, dude. Like, da, da, da. Had it on video. She went into prison, Chowchilla, for 18 months. And she was on parole when she did that.
Nice.
Comes back out. Some time goes by, and her, a few of her homies, all of which I knew as part of that case too, killed 2 people with a fucking axe to the face, one of which was one of my partner's brothers and his girlfriend.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they involved in?
No. He didn't really talk to his brother like that because he was involved in like some weed shit. But it's like, yeah, good call on that, you know?
I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm putting my life on the line now, but I can't even help people, really, because they're getting out right away, or in some circumstances, you can't even arrest them. So people that had like misdemeanor warrants, you know, I contact somebody on the street, I run them out, dispatch is like, oh, they have a misdemeanor warrant for their arrest, no cite, meaning a judge signed an order saying you cannot cite and release that person. They want to be seen.
Wow.
But when all that shit changed, our administration said, no, we're still not taking them. Just leave them. Or cite them on the no cite. It was wild, bro. It was wild.
It's almost like they wanted America to fail.
Yeah, but all the criminals, most of them are not insanely stupid, so they know that, right? They're like, dude, I can pretty much do whatever the fuck I want now. Like, the consequences are way less. Let me ask you this, like, what is the incentive for them not to do the same shit, right? They don't have one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned coming across drugs like in houses and in vehicle stops, but what about fields or like the growing part, the agricultural? Were you coming across that shit?
I was always in grows, bro. Yeah, everyone had grows out there.
Are they armed? Do they have armed security?
Armed security.
Well, you know what I
They
mean?
had
I can
random-
imagine like a paisa with an AK-47 or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got a lot of dudes like that, man. Yeah. So where I live, bro, like, because it was so quiet at night, right? And I was kind of in the middle of town. So at nighttime, it sounded like a war zone. It's like, it's these dudes would just fire off fully auto guns into the air, because they were all high on fucking goof crystals like meth and shit, but also letting people, warning them, don't come over here and fuck with our crop. Right? So, but that was I lived right next door to a fat grow.
Really?
Yeah. It's like you really couldn't avoid it. You know what I'm saying? And those dudes were cool. Like, you know, I knew who it was.
Yeah.
There wasn't any problems at that one. But, yeah, dude, right behind my house on a dirt road, some dude got smoked in the fucking head, broad daylight, over just some weed nonsense. You know what I mean?
Was there ever any multi-agency, like, takedowns of those groves that you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. They would come in. Yeah, we would get...
Who would it be, the DEA?
DEA, deputies from outside counties, FBI... yeah, just a lot of outside, we would come together out there, and then, you know, I would go with them as well because I knew the area. Like, a lot of those roads, bro, didn't even have names. Like, I had to make them up and tell dispatch, hey, this is what this is going to be called. Yeah, bro, you just have to know. Just like, you know, like, hey, like this one guy's nickname was fucking Poop. It's like, hey, bro, like Poop committed, like some dude. I'd go to a call, right? I'd be like, okay, who did this? Oh, Poop did it. And I'm like, who the fuck is Poop when I'm a rookie, right? And they're like, I actually don't know his real name. And I'm like, well, I got to go find this motherfucker Poop right now, bro. Like, you know, and so there's a lot of, you just have to figure all that out too.
So as you're kicking ass and taking names and living the fucking life of Grand Theft Auto, bro, and Far Cry, the video game Far Cry. I play video games, man. And it's like, this is reminding me of like almost like the hills have eyes in a way with gangs and drugs and violence and cops.
Yeah.
Are you expected to remain proficient in your training and weapons qualification?
You're expected to. Yeah.
That answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, I just dry fired every day.
Okay.
I trained mixed martial arts for like during college and shit for years, so I knew how to handle myself. And you know this too, but you're getting sized up by the real ones,
Right?
Like this, dude. So if your shit's sloppy, your uniform, you look like you're out of shape, you don't have any command presence, you're going to get eaten alive in a matter of seconds, right? So they know that they can get that over you. So maintaining a certain level of fitness, command presence, being, you know, clean shaven, looking like you take care of yourself, like that goes miles out. You know what I mean?
Could you elaborate for the crowd, especially these new law enforcement officers, what command presence is and what it's not? Meaning what it's not is like, hey, you don't have to act fucking tough or pretend there's somebody you're not.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people get it twisted, man. You don't need to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, what's up, bitch? Sit the fuck down, right? No, you're not going to get anywhere like that, bro. I will say some people need to get talked to like that, and that's the only language they understand. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But command presence is, you know, pretty much just what I said, dude. Like having a nice, tailored uniform. Don't look sloppy. Don't have fucking shit all over your boots. Look like you are in some sort of decent shape. You know, like I said, if you have hair, which I, you know, obviously don't, make sure it's like nice and tidy and neat. Some departments allow beards, but if you do have one, make sure, just like look like you take care of yourself and you know what the fuck you're doing. And when you talk, just treat people with respect. Act like you know what you're talking about. Dude, some calls, I had no fucking clue what I was doing, but you better act like you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like it's more of an attitude too, man. Just you're in charge of that situation and people have to listen to you. And don't be, you know, when someone's talking to you like those guys, like, dude, like when I was a rookie, this dude, middle of the night, riding his shitty little BMX bicycle down the middle of the road. He was like 45. I didn't know who he was. I'm like, oh, I'll stop that guy. He's committing a crime. Tattoos, big native guy, tattoos everywhere. So I pulled him over in my Crown Vic, may she rest in peace. And right when he gets off his BMX bike, he's like, what the fuck do you want, motherfucker? Right when I step out of the car, I'm like, all right. Well, you better sit the fuck down, bitch, or I'm going to fuck you up. So that's how you have to talk to that guy.
Right.
Right when I did, he sat on the ground, crossed his ankles, and muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right? Then I walk over and I'm like, yo, so what's up, man? Like, what's the issue? And I take it down.
Right.
And I start talking to him calm. And then he comes down. He's like, oh, my bad, bro. You know, my bad. You seem cool. But if you waver, you know what I mean, or you flinch in a second, they're going to see that. You know what I mean? And you're going to get fucked up.
I'm really surprised you were able to pick that up, like working the streets, man, because I've heard a lot of people that worked inside of jails or prisons say, hey, I'm glad I started there because I learned how to maneuver like that.
Dude, where I worked, you get like 80 years experience in a week. So you just, it's not, you know, I dude, a lot of trial and error, bro.
Yeah.
I fucked up a lot of calls. So, but I also, just from my upbringing, I had that mentality anyway, and I wasn't going to let somebody talk to me like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's kind of like my natural instinct.
Right.
And then, you know, I did have some decent FTOs, field training officers, that kind of, one in particular, he's dead now, but he had worked in that area before me. And he had told me, like, hey, this is kind of how this shit works out here, dude. You're not in fucking Kansas anymore. It has its own rules on the res. You are in charge, but you have to abide by that. You have to understand. Right? And it's not mean like they don't tell me what to do. I'm not letting shit go that I don't want to, but it's just a different world.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Just like inside is too. You have a different rules of operation in there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they have their own rules.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
So what would you tell a new police officer that said like, hey, Trent, I'm new to the job, man. I have fucking zero experience, but I have this fear I have this fear of I don't even know how to establish command presence.
Don't be a cop.
I'm glad you said that, man.
Don't be a cop.
I'm glad you said that.
When something that kind of drives me nuts is these nerd Reddit keyboard warrior trolls. That's what you signed up for. They're fucking just fat as fuck eating Cheetos in their mom's basement and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for a lot of things that I had to see, bro.
Right.
Because you don't know. And no academy, no training can prepare you enough mentally for what you're going to undertake. It didn't for me. Because every call's different, you know what I'm saying? But what I will say is I went into it with the mentality like I'm going to just deal with this shit, whatever's going to come my way. So if you don't have that, you shouldn't be a fucking cop. Because you're going to get killed or hurt.
Or you're going to get somebody else killed or hurt.
Your partner, yeah. Or an innocent person, yeah.
Do you think that bad guys can sense that in somebody?
100%. That's what I mean, bro. Those ones that have been in and out of the system their whole life, they sniff that shit out in 2 fucking seconds, man. I'm telling you.
They're fucking pros, dude.
Yeah, because once I got cool with a lot of those guys, especially my informants, bro, because that's how you learn. You ask questions.
Facts.
Every meth addict I came across, even the thousands, in my time. Hey, bro, how long you been smoking meth? How often do you smoke meth?
Yeah.
How much does it cost you to buy it? Every time. Because that's how you develop your training and experience, right? So the other dudes, I'd be like, yo, so, you have those conversations, and they would admit to the fact, like, dude, yeah, these fucking rookie guys, we can tell in 2 seconds that they're going to fucking make it out here. You know what I mean?
You know what sucks, man, is that with the current culture or climate that was going on, it pushed all the good cops out, man.
Yeah.
Bro, because I can tell you were fucking great at your job, dude. Just from having this conversation, it's like those are the people that got pushed out, bro, because they can no longer stomach it.
Yeah, dude, most of my homies I worked with that were barn burners, dude, like just kind of like me, just goons. We were goons. We were street goons, bro, right? So it just was, it is what it is. Like, we didn't like the command staff. We did our own thing, and we arrested the actual bad guys. We protected the fucking innocent people when we could, and we did our jobs, and we're all gone. Most of us, a couple of my other homies, their brain doesn't work right anymore either that I worked with. They're medical retired out for psych. Some injury, but yeah, they dipped, bro. And a lot of it is administrative based too, guys that leave. But the current climate, yeah. I had people when I was still running my podcast, they'd hit me up that I didn't even know, right?
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, Trent, I'm thinking about getting into law enforcement. Don't do it, bro.
Right. Right.
And don't do it. I'm telling you. You missed the ship. Those times are gone. You know what I mean?
That's a good way of putting it, dude.
Yeah. Sorry. Like, it just is what it is.
Facts.
Do something else.
Yeah, and there ain't no shame in that either, man. It's not that we're like, you're putting anybody down.
No.
You're just keeping it real. Like, hey,
Yeah.
dude, probably go do something else. You're going to be better off.
I
You're
d-
going to better quality of life.
Yeah. I'm like, if you want to do it, go do it. You asked my opinion.
Right.
Go work at Costco, bro. You know what I mean?
So earlier in this segment, we talked about common sense, how you love some common sense.
Love it.
Well, while you were working and you went over to the sheriffs or during your law enforcement career, were you watching the administration lack the common sense?
Yeah, bro, because none of those people had the qualifications. They shouldn't have been in those positions.
Then how did they get there?
So the longer I worked there, and this is part of the reason I left at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, the more I found out. So all of my lieutenants were undocumented felons, all right? One of them got fired before he got hired at my agency for sexually assaulting a woman on duty. So he got fired later through his daddy and his mommy, who were supervisors at my agency, hired him. This was back in like 99, right? These guys are all in their mid-40s, early 50s.
Right.
Another one got fired from his first agency for having sex with I think she was 14 or 15-year-old girl while he was a cop, terminated. Or I'm sorry, he got to quit in lieu of, never went to court. Another one was a prior Norteño, fucking kind of wannabe Norteño gang member, used to sell a lot of meth in his 20s, got hooked up. So like a lot of guys that got, and another one, he was running our IAs, bro, and he had gotten fired from his prior agency for hitting somebody with his patrol car, their vehicle, lied about it in his IA, and got fired because his dad-in-law was the captain at my agency, the father-in-law. He later got a job there. But it's like, you're a Brady issue already, homie. You fucking lied in your own IA, but you're putting guys in IA. So it was just like the more I learned, you know, but I felt that the undersheriff and the sheriff, they wanted guys that they could control.
Absolutely.
Guys that they have dirt on. It's better to have that. Yes men, company men, guys that couldn't get hired anywhere else. And this was that was all my supervisors. I had a one-on-one talk with my captain before I left because he was okay. And I'm like, bro, I'm dipping out. You're fucked. Because that town out there is going to go to shit. I'm lateraling to the PD. And he understood and he agreed with me about his lieutenants. But nothing changed.
You know what's crazy is that as you listed off all these LTs, and it's like, one, I'm pretty sure they're facts, what you just said.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not really surprised, which is a scary thing.
It's nationwide. It's a nationwide issue, dude. I've talked to cops in multiple states, especially during my time doing the podcast, and we all have the same complaints about our admin.
Facts.
And these dudes, you look in their careers, never did anything substantial on the fucking street, bro.
Facts.
And they're just bitches at the end of the day. And I think a lot of it, like shit that I would get, especially from one of my lieutenants, Andrew Porter, just a pile of shit. He would try to take credit for a lot of things that I did and detectives did because he used to run that unit too. And those guys would tell me that in there just to make himself look better. But they just didn't know what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And he would try to tell me how to do my job in a town that he visited maybe twice. And I'm like, bro, I'm living here full time and I have for years. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I had to tell him that. I'm like, I'm not going to do whatever you tell me to do because it's going to have a negative impact on that community and those people. And you're doing it wrong. So it's like, when it comes down to common sense and people knowing less, you know what I mean? Just because somebody has stripes or whatever, dude, that doesn't mean that they know more than you. Very often, even in the military, especially in the military too, same thing. That's not the case, right?
Did these superiors have big egos?
Oh yeah, dude. That one guy I was just telling you about. Like all they do is worship fucking Jocko, and they talk facts, dude. I'm not even joking. When I lateraled out, dude. I went to a coroner's case because it was in the same county as a patrol sergeant. One of my old beat partners showed up. It's still with that same sheriff's office.
Yeah.
We did the coroner's case. He had his door open, and I heard him listening to something in his patrol car. I'm like, is that fucking Jocko, bro? I've never listened to Jocko in my life. And he's like, yeah, I didn't pass my sergeant test, and they told me that they want me to listen to more Jocko to get prepared mentally to be a leader. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say to me? He's like, I know. And I'm like, you should fucking kill yourself, bro. Like in your patrol car. I'm just joking. But like, you should fucking, yeah, you get it. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? He was so defeated too. Really cool guy. But that's what they do. Like, you have to be this leader and emulate Jocko. But the thing is, like, first of all, I'm my own man. I don't need to fucking look up to anybody. Number two, like, they don't even do, you know, they don't even, like put forth any of those things that he preaches.
Are those superiors, those types of superiors, are they receptive to feedback or constructive criticism?
No. No, you don't ask why, bro. And I always did that. Trent, you ask why too much. I'm like, because it doesn't make sense, bitch. What the fuck?
Right.
Like, you guys that out of touch, and it's because you're in your office on your little computer watching Jocko fucking YouTube videos when I'm in the fucking trenches in the hills chasing down hard motherfuckers alone, and I have to hold my fucking radio up here to get some service.
That's wild, dude.
You don't know what you're talking. You know what I mean? So it's like, one of my other buddies, Jeremy Mason, he came on our podcast a bunch of times. Hard motherfucker, dude. He was a canine guy too. Same thing. He'd just be out there fucking off the grid, running around chasing guys, and he had those same beefs with these guys. Like, it's the best cops generally do not get along with their administration because the admin is weak. They don't know how to be leaders. They think that because they test well to get promoted, which is all fake anyway. They pick who they want.
Correct.
That makes them qualified. It's like, it doesn't.
Does a poor leadership in a police agency, can it lead to loss of life? Or dangerous situations.
Dangerous situations for sure, man.
It could lead to dangerous situations.
Oh yeah. Like, dude, I had sergeants at the time, lieutenants that, yeah, they try to tell you like what to do on certain situations, and I'm like, dude, you don't know. That's what I mean. I'm like, are you even a cop? You know what I mean? Like, they're desk jockeys, dude. Like, they're not even doing shit, and they got promoted so fast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That they never did that. Like none of them ever held my resident deputy post and alone. And I'm like, you don't know this, just for me specifically, I'm like, you don't know this town. You don't know these people. This isn't, we're not doing it that way. So, yeah.
So did you ever get in any trouble as a result of them retaliating against you or targeting you?
No, they didn't because they didn't have shit on me. I did my job. I did it very well. I had the support of the community, and I later ran for sheriff. Actually, that's how much support I had, because I wanted to fire everybody.
Yeah.
But no, dude, I didn't. I think the one write-up I had was I totaled my car off the side of a highway one time. They wrote me up for that, and then I had a mohawk one time. I got in trouble. But no, nothing substantial. That's why I quit. They didn't have. I'm leaving in a month and a half. I'm going to go be a patrol sergeant at a PD. And that was its own fucking nightmare. And
Talk to me about the patrol sergeant position. Did you lateral into that position?
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever a police officer or you went straight to a supervisor rank?
Because of my training and experience, I just automatically qualified. I had a bachelor's degree.
Sweet.
And my homie, well, not anymore. He's now a fucking major enemy. But my friend at the time, he was the lieutenant there. And I had worked with them at the sheriff's office too. So years prior, he had gone over and he's like, I want to hire you as a patrol sergeant, get these fools in check. But
yeah,
I hated it, bro. It was dumb. We had quotas. Ticket quotas are a real fucking thing. I'm tired of people saying that they don't. So when you get reprimanded verbally, written write-up, your lieutenant says, if you don't go tell your guy, if your guys aren't writing tickets, Trent, the city manager is on the chief's ass. The chief is on my ass. So I'm going to be on your ass. Go tell your guys to write more tickets. And if they don't, people are going to start getting written up. We call that a fucking quota. And I'm tired of hearing that there's not one. So you don't have to have the word quota, right?
Is that to generate money for the county?
100%. Generated money for the city.
Yeah,
Highway Patrol has the same thing. They had a whiteboard in their fucking offices, bro, with who had the most like seatbelt tickets, speeding tickets, little tally marks. And they would get bitched at by their sergeants if they failure to perform. It's in your policy, okay? If you're not doing your job function, which for highway guys is issuing citations,
right,
DUIs and shit, you're going to get written up. So, or counseled. So I didn't like quotas because I wasn't a nerd. I was a deputy. So I didn't like giving tickets for shit that I did myself. I didn't have a front plate. I had window tint on my cars. I'm not going to get people in trouble for doing the same shit that I'm doing. I'm talking on my phone.
Right.
But we were basically forced to do it. And I told him, I'm not doing that, bro. And at the time, he was my friend. And then that's when I really, bro, when I came back, and you could probably talk about this too, like in the military, when I came back out of my assignment and I went to the PD, which was like a pretty normal town in comparison, it was so slow. And like, I just stopped. I felt like I hit a brick wall, just like boom. And because I wasn't busy all the time, my adrenaline was gone. My body didn't know what to do with itself. And all of a sudden I'm alone with my fucking thoughts, which is never good.
That's the bad part right
and
there.
I was like, I just sat there and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? What do I do now? And then that's when all the memories and,
Were you living alone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you drinking at that time?
I've never been like that.
What were you doing to process those memories?
Nothing, bro. I fucking was having like I don't even give a fuck. I've said this too. Like I was having panic attacks on the street, dude, and it's a major liability because, I was a supervisor.
While employed, you were having panic attacks?
Yeah. So I was like, I was like suicidal for a while, dude. Like when I was living out where I lived.
Yeah.
Especially during 2020, that was a grim time.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I recently had a like an LAPD guy, youngster too, and he's like, dude, I was having panic attacks at work where I would have to undo my vest. Yeah. It gives me chills, bro, because that's unfortunate, man.
Yeah, it is what it is, And so I was like, well, this is a major liability because I have to not only in charge of myself and I have a badge and a gun and a patrol car, but I have to look after my guys.
Right.
And I can't be tripping. So, but you have to mask it because in law enforcement, in the military, anything, it is very taboo. It is a huge no-no to have any mental issues. You are a pussy. Verbatim from some of my lieutenants, including that stupid that fuck I just said, right? Yeah. So you can't do anything about it. You have to suck it up. But it got so bad that I walked into my lieutenant's office one day, who again was my friend at the time, and I was like, bro, I need to fucking take some time. And he's like, why? I'm like, I'm all fucked up. And he's like, he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, bro, I'm probably going to kill myself. Straight to his face. And he's just like, Trent, do you know what this is going to do to your fucking career? Everything you fucking worked for. Are you serious? What do you have to bitch about? And I was like, and he was around all those years. And I was like, you know what the fuck I've done, bro? My assignment shit. Are you kidding me? And he's just like, are you fucking serious? Blah, blah, blah. And then he wasn't having it. And I was like, you can keep this job, bitch. Like, I'm fucking going home. And so I went home, and after that, it was, you know, we just battled and battled, bro. Because I ended up coming back to work when I wasn't ready. Because as a cop, when you go off, you don't get any help. Workers' comp wasn't covering my shit. I had to burn through my vacation time, my sick time, and I had a mortgage, car payments, and stuff.
Fuck.
Same time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to battle upstairs, and then I have HR. Her name's Karen. Hit me up. Hey, we need a doctor's note for your dog to say that you're mentally able to still give him food and water. Otherwise, we're going to come take him. And I had brought him over from the sheriff's office. And I was like, dude, I will fucking don't even think about coming to my house. So I have to text my lieutenant, like, dude, don't come up here and fuck with my dog, bro. So, and he's harassing me too. And then it got to a point where I ran out of money. So I had to go get psyched up to go back to work. So I texted my lieutenant, I'm all better, bro. It's been like a month and a half. I'm straight. Fuck it. No counseling, no nothing. So I went to see a psychiatrist who actually was a prior cop. That happens sometimes. He was a cop for like 20 years, went and got his fucking PhD and shit. And I lied.
Right.
Lied. It's easy to do.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of guys I worked with that lied on those things after they got in shootings to come back to work.
I've lied.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really easy to get away with. And I was like, oh no, dude, I'm all good. I was just tired and shit, you know? And then go back, the problems don't go away. And yeah, it was just downhill from there, man. And then he was telling like my subordinates behind my back I was a pussy. He's like, he's out for fucking psych. He's being a bitch. Because they would tell me because they liked me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. But then, you know, karma bit his ass because he's been fired. He's had his house searched by fucking cops with a warrant. He's being investigated by the feds right now.
Really?
Yeah, everyone up there's a fucking criminal, bro. Everyone I worked for. I'm telling you, from the DA, the sheriff.
Would you classify that as corruption?
It's one of the most corrupt. People think that cities are corrupt, which they are. LA's horrendous. But dude, you get into the rural fucking departments, especially where it's all fucking weed. Dude, it's horrible. The Good Old Boys Club is fucking thriving up there.
How did that make you feel? You took pride in having a badge and understanding penal code. You said you went to college and learned administrative justice. How did that make you feel knowing that your own people were fucking criminals?
It was very eye-opening, man. It was shocking. That's why I said the longer I worked there, the more that I found out. And I'm like, no fucking way, no fucking way. And when I used to tell people that, they wouldn't believe me. Because people in general, you want to believe that cops are all Boy Scouts. And I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, I know a lot of people in a lot of agencies. Like, most of the street guys I worked with were all legit, right? But it's when you get to the brass is where you run into the fucking problems.
Absolutely.
So when I first started working there on training, the older boomer dudes were like, hey, Trent, do you know about the DA? His name's Dave Eister. Do you know about the DA here and his pay-to-play scheme? And I'm like, what does that mean? So what he does, and this is common knowledge, back when weed was still a felony, we'd have the task force guys go hit a crop of marijuana. Felony level shit. Then the DA would have talked to the suspect. Hey, bro, do you want to buy the fucking misdemeanor or do you want to go and I'm going to charge you, you're going to catch a felony in court and I could send you to prison. So you buy a misdemeanor. So that dope grower would give cash money to the DA. 50 G's, 100 G's. So you're buying a lesser fucking crime. Where did that money go? Nobody fucking knows, man.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's just
buy a misdemeanor?
Yeah, there's been like articles and shit written about it. Nobody does anything. When I was doing my podcast, everyone would be like, dude, why does the AG not get involved in all this shit? I'm like, you think it stops at that level?
Oh, bro.
Dude, you already know.
Office of Inspector General, bro.
Yeah, I'm like,
I've seen it.
It goes to the top, homie. It's fucking, you guys don't even know.
I'll tell you this, though, bro. I think they got away with it for so long because they controlled the narrative for so long.
Yeah.
Recently, social media, people like me and you can pick up a cell phone and say, hey, this is happening. But when enough people are saying, hey, this is happening over here too. This is happening in New York. This is happening in Florida.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, we have a fucking problem here.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of their power, and weed's not worth shit anymore. And those guys are on their way out. A lot have been fired since my time there, arrested sometimes. Everything I ever put out on the internet before came to fruition, and then some.
It did?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
When you left, I'm fucking sorry to hear that you went through all that fucking shit, bro, because that's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, dude. So what ultimately happened though, bro, is I had actually applied to go back to the sheriff's office because I was so miserable at the PD. I'm like, bro, I can't do this anymore. I'm writing tickets like a nerd. I hate my lieutenant. And this is when I had just come back from PTSD leave.
Yeah.
So I had applied to go back. He found out about it. And he stopped talking. He stopped talking to me for 2 weeks, even though we worked the same shift. He was telling my subordinates to come tell me what to do. Go tell your sergeant I said to do this, right? And so one day, because probation there was 18 months, I get called into the chief's office, and it was the chief and him. The chief's also been fired now, by the way.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're all fucking crooks, bro. The chief's actually from LA. He was from LA, but they're like, yeah, it's not working out. We're going to let you go. And I'm like, oh, really? For what? We don't have to give you a reason you're on probation. Oh, so I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? So right then and there, and I'm like, okay. They're like, give us all your shit. And I'm like, all right. It was 100% retaliatory for trying to go back to the SO.
Yeah.
But my plan, I hated the SO, but I was just going to go back shortly until I could figure out my next move. Because at that point, I was so checked out of law enforcement, but I needed to pay shit still.
Right.
Right. So I had just done like $20,000, $25,000 worth of work on my home. So I didn't have a lot of money in the bank. I had like 5 G's. So they fired me, took my dog right away, didn't even let me say goodbye to him. I had him for years. And I was like, they're like, yeah, we're keeping your dog and your partner's giving you a ride home. And so I had no money, and I sold my house, thankfully, within like 30 days because I found someone that wanted it. So I lost my fucking career and my house,
and your
dog, everything in like a month. It was crazy, bro. But like I said, karma fucked those guys up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, was that the end of your law enforcement career?
Yeah, there was nothing prohibiting me from going back. I didn't have any policy violations, no complaints from the public, no anything, bro. Like, I was just straight.
Did you have a backup plan? Or did you kind of have to just start figuring shit out on your own?
No, dude. It's one of those things where people get very comfortable in law enforcement. Most guys I worked with wanted to leave. But the common narrative is, but what the fuck would I do? I'm not good at anything else.
Facts.
And I wanted to leave for a long time, but I was in that same boat. I'm like, fuck, dude, I work so hard. I'm getting paid a lot of fucking money. You know, I was making like up there, cost of living was super cheap. And I was like, I'm making $150K a year.
God damn.
Yeah. I had a Corvette, a Range Rover, a sick ass crib by myself. Cause you could buy a dope house up there at the time for like 350 G's, bro. I was on a half an acre.
Damn.
And a
dude.
nice ass. Yeah. But it was like different cost of living, but you still make good money.
Right.
And, but yeah, I was like, fuck, because then you get comfortable with that too, a certain way of lifestyle. But I'm glad that it happened to me, because had that not happened, I would still either be dead or I would still be stuck at a miserable, hating it. And I found that everything that's happened to me since 2021, like, it happened for a reason. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Facts.
And I thank all those guys, man, because they're all fat, worthless, and suck, and they're still in that shitty ass job that they fucking hate themselves.
You know, it's crazy, man, because we have similar experience, dude. Very similar experience, along with a lot of other people too. And you said there's people still working that do not know how to leave. It's like you're a hamster on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, dude. Like a lot of guys. One of my homies up there, he's a sergeant now, but he's like, dude, I can't. I have a wife and kids,
right,
and a house. He's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Fortunately for me, I didn't have all that, so I just dipped out. I threw clothes in my trunk, and I was dating a girl in Florida at the time, and I drove straight to Orlando, and that didn't work out. And then I fucked off for a while. And then I was living out in Houston the last 2.5 years, and then I became a private investigator and opened my own business doing that shit. So,
how long after you leaving law enforcement did you get on that podcast, or did you create a podcast?
Bro, I chilled for like a year.
And initially, what type of content were you putting out on your social media platforms?
Oh, well, right when I got out of law enforcement, I started my YouTube channel that I don't really fuck around with that much. It's more of like a hobby.
Yeah.
Blasting all my admin, dude. All the dirty laundry came out, bro. And then
Real quick, did you receive feedback while you were blasting the admin?
Yeah, a lot of people that were local said I was full of shit. I was a disgruntled ex-employee. I was like, how was I disgruntled, bro? I quit.
Yeah.
I didn't get fired from the SO. I fucking quit that bitch. I was like, I had no terminations. Even at the PD, they had no reason to fire me. So I was like, I didn't do shit. But I was like, someone needs to say it. But they said I was full of shit. That's not really happening. And but that all died off because, like I said, people started getting fired. Another police chief there in that county, he got fired while he was on duty. He went to some chick's house and made her basically give him oral sex. Caught a case on that. We had another one that broke into some hooker's hotel room, sexually assaulted her. He got arrested and fired. So there's been like a lot of crazy shit that's gone on in a small ass county. And now that everyone's seen all of it, like everyone shut the fuck up on that. Now they're like, what else is going on? And I'm like, well, that's why I don't upload anymore. I don't have the time. I'm like, I had to move on. I have to live my life at some point.
Will a Google search pull up those fucking arrests of those?
Dude, Mendocino County cops, or just type in fucking Trent James, Mendocino County, bro. Like, I'm all over that bitch, especially because I ran for sheriff. So when I moved to Orlando, it was the 2022 election, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was doing YouTube a little bit, and I had hella people hit me up. Dude, come back and run for sheriff.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fuck it. But because it was so last minute, bro, I had to run as a write-in candidate.
Yeah.
So you had to write my name on the ballot, know that I was running. I only got to campaign for 6 days. So thousands of people had already voted, and I still got 20% of the vote.
Holy shit, dude.
So if I would have done it months prior,
Yeah.
it'd have been close, man. I tried to debate the sheriff. He wouldn't do it because he is just an inarticulate redneck that just talks like he has peanut butter in his mouth and shit. So he wouldn't debate me, acted like it wasn't real. But I did all the interviews with like the media people and all that shit. Went around, met with the public.
You said acted like it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Do you believe that those types of leaders, so-called leaders, are disconnected from reality?
100%, man. I think that they know in the back of their mind what's really going on, but the egos are so inflated and they like to just know what they just know, oh, my way is the best way. We've always done it this way before. Dude, those are words will kill your ass, man.
It's incompetence.
Incompetence. But they're so full of themselves, they don't like criticism. Like, you know, you try to say like, hey man, I have a better idea. They'd be like, what the fuck did you just say? Better take your idea, shove it up your ass, and get the fuck out of my office.
Facts.
Don't come around here with ideas. We're sticking with shit we've been doing since 1937, bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Crazy.
you said you got kind of tired talking about it on your YouTube. Did you experience like a burnout about that content?
Yeah, dude, because I was just living that same life over and over and over, man. And I wasn't even living in the same state at the time. And I had so many people hitting me up all the time with questions or needing stuff.
Right.
And I helped so many people for free and did so much shit. But at a certain point in time, for once in my life, when I was in Texas, I'm like, I need to just take a step back and become selfish for once. It's not even selfish.
I remember, I think you made a video saying that, hey, I got to fucking become, work on myself. And I totally understood it when you put that out.
Yeah, man, exactly. And like, I had to fucking move on, dude. And I'm like, I came out here to pursue, shit in the entertainment industry. And I'm like, I can't. I do it every once in a while because it's still fun for me. But I like to go on, let them know what's up, talk a little shit, and then dip out. But I don't do it like full time like that anymore.
How did you get your foot into the entertainment industry?
Dude, it was like weird as fuck. So I've always wanted to be an actor, but I grew up in the woods. No opportunities, right? And then I did what everyone told me to do. Hey, go to college and buy a house. It's going to be sick. And then I did all that, and I was like, this is it? This is fucking trash, dude. And so I did all that, right? And I was like sitting around. I'm like 30 years old with 2 cars, a fat house by myself, a career, retirement.
You ever been married?
No.
People say that's also a good idea, but
yeah, I know. It's funny. All my partners said, they always tell me, Trent, don't ever get married, right? But so I did everything, and I'm like, damn, this is whack, dude. What the fuck? And I'm like, this sucks. But so anyway, I always wanted to do it, but when I was in Houston in 2023, very long story short, this guy in 2017 got pulled over in my county, and he got robbed on the side of the road by 2 off-duty cops, one of which I used to work with, because they were just doing highway robberies up there, like in the movies. jacking people's weed, jacking their money, sending them on their way. Yeah. He used to be a cop back in the day in San Antonio. So he knew what that was. Long story short, the ATF got involved, the feds got involved. Those two, like a lot of cops got wrapped up in that. They all got arrested. There's still a federal RICO case going right now in San Francisco.
Shit.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. But anyway, when I got out of cop world in 2021, I started putting out videos. He saw it, hit me up. We became friends. He was also like a lower level film producer, mostly based out of Atlanta at the time. But in 2023, fast forward a couple years, we're really close. We're like best friends now. He's like, hey, I have some modeling thing with, Bam Margera?
Yeah.
So his now ex-wife, they were still married at the time, Nikki. He's like, she's starting her own clothing line, blah, blah, blah. And we also had another mutual friend that owns a clothing company. And I was posting some pictures of myself on Instagram. She saw them. She hit me up. And she's like, hey, I'm doing this clothing thing with your friend Zeke. Do you want to come out to LA and be the guy model for it? And I was like, fuck yeah.
Where were you living at the time?
Houston.
Okay.
So I came out here, did that, and I kind of just fell in love with the Hollywood shit. I'm like, dude, I need to fucking be out here. And then I talked to a bunch of people when I was out here, and they're like, you should probably move out here, bro. You're missing an opportunity. And I hated private PI shit, bro, being a private investigator. Like, it was insane money, dude. Like, the most money I've ever made in my life without really ever leaving my house, if you know what you're doing.
Right.
But I wasn't happy doing it. Another baller-ass house I was living in out there. I had a brand new, like, Durango SRT and shit, like, but I wasn't passionate about any of it. And it was still investigation, still dealing with law enforcement sometimes, attorneys. And also while I was out here, he introduced me to another guy who was in the middle of starting to film a movie. And he saw me and he's like, hey, do you want a part in this? And so that's when I really just said, fuck it. I sold all my shit in like 2 months and drove out here.
Damn.
Restarted again for the second time.
I think I was talking to you during that period of time also when you're like, hey, I just moved to fucking Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, cool, we got to meet up, dude.
And that's when I realized nothing matters, dude. Like your furniture, your fucking cars, your houses, like it's all just nonsense, man. I mean, it's so easy. It's just, you can't take any of it with you to the fucking great beyond. You know what I mean? So I always tell guys, because I got hit up a lot, like, bro, like, I'm so miserable. I'm depressed as a cop. What do I do? And I'm like, we're all different, man. I would just say, try to find something you're passionate about and try to get creative and see if you can make money off of doing that.
Yeah.
Because life is, way too damn short. It'll get snatched away from you in a blink of an eye to be miserable doing what you're doing if it's not fulfilling your soul. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What's your take on the American dream as far as, you already stated some of it. People employ you to go to college, get a job, get married, get a house, shut up and be miserable. What's your take on that?
I think that's a very old school, tired, like, it's just not practical anymore, man. We're in a new time. That doesn't even work. First of all, this isn't the 1950s where it's all like the housewife situation, right? Like a lot of women are way more successful than men. They have their own careers. A lot of people these days don't even want kids, but I think it was such a social norm for so long that you were looked at as, you were ostracized or looked at as some weirdo if that's not the path that you were taking. What do you mean you don't want to go to college, buy a house, and get married and have 4 kids? What are you talking about? What the fuck's wrong with you? But that works for a lot of people, and that's great. I would say if that's what you want to do, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't fucking do it. Your decision doesn't affect me and vice versa, right? But for me, when I had all of that, it wasn't fulfilling. And I don't know, but I had a lot of other mental shit going on too, bro. I still do, but it way worse then. But it's like, yeah, I was just battling fucking demons, man. I couldn't even enjoy anything.
How important is internal peace, internal mental health, as opposed to outside things? Like, oh, if I get this car, it's going to make me feel better.
It's momentary dopamine hits, man. And that's why a lot of cops, I'm not going to say this guy's name, but I'm still best friends with him. He works in a law enforcement capacity, but he is a fucking deviant. A lot of those dudes, like us, because we're so addicted to the adrenaline, I'm sure you can talk about this too, you need, like, a lot of those guys are like sex addicts, driving around drunk, fucking going and doing all kinds of crazy shit because you have to. Your brain is so wired to live every moment as if it's your last. And if you're not always living on the edge, you're sitting alone with the fucking monsters in your brain. And dude, that's, I've been there. But yeah, some of these guys that are still carrying a gun, dude, that I know, that a lot of them that nobody knows, man. The public does not understand this is not all cops.
We know,
but they don't understand. And that's why it's hard to talk to people. That's why, like, one of my exes when I was still a cop, man, it's like the how's your day thing. It's like, you're trying to be a nice, loving girlfriend, but I can't. Right. What am I going to say?
Yeah. And it's not that we're trying to put a blanket statement or a stereotype on all law enforcement.
No.
It's not the case. What we're saying is there's motherfuckers that have some demons in law enforcement. There's motherfuckers that are criminals in law enforcement.
Yeah, there's a lot of good dudes that are cops that are doing it the right way, that aren't mentally fucked. I'm just saying, myself and a lot of dudes I worked with, a lot of guys I've talked to.
Yeah, it's common.
Are blasted out, bro. And most of us, even if they do have problems, you'll never know it because it's so taboo. You hide that as best you can.
It's almost like the ones that cared the most got fucked over the most.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I gave like my heart and soul to fucking everybody in that community, dude, for years and years and years, and I'll never get it back, and I don't want it back.
Right.
I was happy to do it, and it made me feel good to help somebody with a problem that they needed help with that they couldn't get. Dude, I was doing all kinds of shit, man. Like, hey, Trent, my kid's not going to school. I think he's going down the wrong path. Can you come over and talk to him? Because it was such a small community. Fuck yeah, I can.
That's what's up, dude.
And you go do that. And I was going into people's houses, eating dinner and shit on duty. You get a call, you leave, but.
I believe in God, bro. I'm a believer in God, but I see things like, that's how I see things.
Yeah.
That you were put in certain positions like that to help others.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? Because there's only certain people that can reach out to certain fucking people, man. Certain individuals that can reach out to people that do not listen or are on the wrong path.
Yeah, at the time, I didn't drink the law enforcement Kool-Aid, so I wasn't like, I actually didn't even hang out with cops off duty, bro. I didn't really care. I had my own friends.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until recently, really when I came out to LA that I really looked back and reflected and I wasn't always a believer in like everything happens for a reason kind of a thing. It always seemed kind of cringe and corny to me. But looking back at how my life has worked out, I definitely feel that way now.
Oh, bro, this is the first time I met you in person, and I can clearly see your path was paved for you, bro.
Yeah.
Your path was fucking paved for you to include all that bullshit you went through in the PD.
Well, like, dude, for about a year and a half before I moved to California when I was still in Texas and shit, looking back, I had little nudges from different places about coming to fucking LA for the entertainment industry. Like somebody mentioning something. I was in a post office in Houston. The guy's like, you look like an actor. When I was out here doing a documentary, when I was still in Houston, this lady, she's like, you belong in Hollywood. So it's like little different points of time spread out. And then I finally had that opportunity come up. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I doing? Maybe nothing will come out of it, but at least I can say I tried to do something.
Oh, you're killing it, bro. You're killing it. You're just starting out. So just imagine, things take time, dude. Nothing happens overnight.
No, man, people people back home, some of them think like, oh, you just go out to Hollywood and you start starring and shit with fucking Johnny Depp and Tom Cruise. I'm like, that's not how it works, bro.
Correct.
But I have been very fortunate because all of 2024, the entertainment industry, it's still kind of fucked, but it was horrible with the strikes and everything. But I've been very fortunate to network, which I love to do, and that's what you have to do. And I've been grateful and fortunate to get into a lot of projects that I shouldn't have.
What role do they always have you casting for, man? Because I see your Instagram clips.
Obviously, the fucking stay-at-home dad with the minivan driving the kids to soccer practice. What are you fucking asking crazy questions? No, it's like, yeah, the fucking motorcycle dude, the gang guy, the fucking white supremacist guy, the fucking mercenary dude, contractor, fucking prior military dude. Sometimes I just shot a film called Last Hit. And I was pretty much that,
Yeah, I always see you putting thug number 1 or thug
that's
number 2.
That's a joke, yeah. But yeah, a lot of those, but that's awesome because I wasn't that in real life. Who wants to fucking play themselves? What's funny is I've never once been cast as a fucking cop. And I'll tell them like, bro, I have a lot of fucking experience because a lot of these actors, I'm on sets with them that play cops. And I'm like, dude, your gun doesn't go behind your back, bro. Like
Do they ask you for advice?
Yeah. I'm like, let me unfuck your whole fucking duty belt here for you, homie.
Yeah.
This is how you hold the gun, you know. So it's like some mild technical advising shit,
Definitely.
but they don't cast you because what people don't understand. I make fun of myself for the thug roles, but everyone, for the vast majority of them, are typecast in this industry.
What does that mean?
Like they're gonna see you. You look like a fucking insurance salesman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get cast in a lot of those roles, bro.
Okay.
Like a lot of dudes aren't going to get my roles that, you know, have the Abercrombie and Fitch fucking polo and fucking the full head of hair. And they're like,
yeah,
I'm super white guy. They're not going to get my roles, right? They're getting the fucking ones that I'm not getting. So people based on certain looks, like when I first moved here, I got a scholarship, at the Stella Adler Acting School, and one of our exercises we did, our teacher had us do, is we had to write down and judge every single person in our class. And we did. This chick looks like a bitch. This guy looks like an asshole.
Were you guys allowed to be honest like that?
Yeah. This guy looks like a psychopath, me. And it's like, but none of them are like that. It's just off of physical appearance. It's like profiling as a cop.
Right.
You're going to get, more often than not, into those roles based on your look if you're right for it. Like I know a lady that was casting for a commercial. She's like, Trent, I saw you put in for this homeowner commercial for some lawn care company, and I was casting for it, and I saw your profile. And I was like, yeah, sometimes I do that just to be a silly goose because it's funny to me because I know I'm not going to get it. She's like, yeah, I saw it, and I couldn't put you in it because you do not match that look whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're looking for the, you know, Ron Swanson type guy with the fucking, you know, little cardigan and the fucking hair and the, you know, just like regular old average Joe guy.
Bro, I was thinking if we ever did a prison movie, bro, I could be the lieutenant. You could be like the AB fucking shot caller, man.
Facts. Dude, there's so much shit I'm trying. People say that too. Like, oh, dude, go do a movie about your time in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know how hard it is? One of my really close friends right now was the executive producer on Law and Order, SWAT, Chicago PD, big time showrunner guy. And even though I have that connect,
yeah,
I can't do shit still with anything, man. There's like a certain, it's really complicated, and I'll probably, you know, we'll do some shit in the future, but he even knows about my history. He's like, fuck, that sounds awesome. Because he's a writer. He's written and sold 13 TV pilots. Very successful. But yeah, that's that whole process, bro. But that'd be sick.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people out there that are tired of where they're at, but don't know how to change their circumstance?
If I can do it, literally anyone can, man. And my other homies that got fucked over, if they got fired too, lost their jobs, broke their brains, they're all doing all right. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's within your power. It's a mental block, man. It's a comfortability aspect. Like I said, a complacency where you get accustomed to a lifestyle, the consistent paychecks. Try to have a plan. But if you're not happy, like I said, life's too short to be living like that, man.
You're right, dude.
Because it affects everything. It affects your relationships with your family, your friends. You're just nobody wants to be around you because you're miserable all the time.
Facts, dude.
Yeah. And not that I'm all better now. Like, I'm still fucked up, but I'm much better off than I was.
I mean, you're pleasant to be around, bro.
Thanks,
you know
man.
What I mean? Your energy-wise.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you were a cop, it'd probably different feel. I mean, you know, we put different energy out into the world.
It is. I still have a lot of intensity that I don't know that I have because I go into a lot of these sets and a lot of people tell me like, whoa, like they're scared or they like, you're really intense. And I'm like, I'm just actually chilling, bro. But, you know, I'm scanning still, you know what I mean? And fuck,
yeah.
Who's plotting against me in this fucking, you know, room. But yeah.
Definitely. So is there any last words you want to say to the crowd? Maybe where they could reach out to you if you're on social media or anything like that. Now's the time.
Oh, yeah. I have YouTube, whatever. It's just the Trent James on there, my channel, but it's not even big and I don't really fuck around with it. But I have Instagram. It's just Trent James, one thing. And that's pretty much it.
Cool, man.
I'm the bald guy on there. You see my shit right away. So yeah.
Hey, dude, well, thank you for coming, bro. I fucking appreciated this one. It was a good one, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you guys have it, folks. Another banger for you guys, man. If you guys like what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love you guys. Keep pushing forward.
Unhinged mind, Hector's legend engraved. Living life raw, never been tamed. From the hood to the pen, truth and tales pen. Hector Bravo unhinged, story never ends.